Robert Mueller's sweeping Russia probe is focusing on one of President Trump's closest yet quietest confidants. The special counsel's lawyers plan by the end of this month to sit down with White House Communications Director Hope Hicks, to find out what she might know about possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Moscow. Hicks' denial that top campaign aides spoke with foreign dignitaries is likely to come up during the discussions. It never happened, Hicks told the Associated Press on November 10, 2016, days after the election. There was no communication between the campaign and any foreign entity during the campaign. Information that emerged in the past year, however, reveals that wasn't the case. Since Trump was elected, it's come out that Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, now Attorney General Jeff Sessions, Paul Manafort, Carter Page and other campaign workers spoke with Russian nationals in some capacity during the real estate developer's presidential run. She's retained D.C. lawyer Robert Trout, who declined to comment for this story. A spokesman for Mueller also declined to comment. Since her November 2016 comment appears to now be in dispute, Hicks might find herself in a tight spot when she sits down with the Mueller team. Carlo Allegrieuters Ick puts her easily on the defensive, and once somebody's on the defensive it's easier to get them to say what you want them to say, said Rebecca Roy-Fee, a professor at New York Law School. She's going to be forced into a corner to explain those lies. Hicks, who's worked with the Trumps for 5 years, has been a quiet force with the campaign and White House. But the 29-year-old's name received wider attention after Donald Trump Jr.'s correspondence with WikiLeaks was revealed. The controversial documents site, which released leaked emails from the Clinton campaign as well as by members of the Democratic National Committee during the campaign, reached out to Trump Jr. In September 2016, Trump Jr. emailed top campaign members, including his brother-in-law, Kushner, about WikiLeaks reaching out. The Senate Judiciary Committee earlier this month fired off an angry letter to Kushner, alleging he withheld those emails, which he reportedly forwarded to Hicks. Abby Lowell, Kushner's lawyer, had said the former real estate developer warned campaign staff not to talk to foreign nationals and that the charge by the Senate panel was blown out of proportion. James Bergley-Ettens, the WikiLeaks correspondence, is the latest incidents showing Hicks' direct communication with Trump's surrogates and her close proximity to the now president. Hicks reportedly was on Air Force One with Trump when he was said to have helped his son craft the initial response to a New York Times story about the June 2016 meeting. Additionally, Carter Page told the House Intelligence Committee that he told Sessions, Hicks and then campaign manager Corey Lewandowski before giving a speech in Russia in July 2016. Page has denied that the speech had anything to do with his role as a foreign policy advisor and his brief encounters with Russian officials were just pleasantries. Yet Page also said he emailed other advisors about Trump potentially delivering a speech in Russia, likening it to Barack Obama's 2008 address in Berlin. Hicks was also reportedly in the know when Trump decided to fire FBI Director James Comey and may likely to be another talking point when she meets with Mueller's team. The firing, which the president suggested was partially because of the Russia probe, has been considered obstruction of justice by some critics. Evan Vuciap Hicks has remained a steady presence in a White House that's already seen the departure of top advisors Michael Flynn, Steve Bannon and Anthony Scaramucci as well as Health and Human Services Secretary Tom Price. One thing she's managed to do is remain there at the center of the Trump circle, said Roy-Fee, the law professor and former prosecutor. From before the campaign even. So she has connections to these families that run deep. Her muted nature, SHES doesn't appear to have an active Twitter account, and loyalty to the president have been considered factors to why SHES lasted so long. She's often one of the few people in the room when Trump gives an interview. Unlike the president, Hicks is a relative newcomer to politics. She grew up in Greenwich, Conn, and played lacrosse through her 4 years at Southern Methodist University. Hicks also modeled for a time, and her work included the cover of an offshoot novel for the show, Gossip Girl. Hicks began her public relations career at Hicks Strategies, which was contracted with the Trump Organization when she began in 2012. Andrew Harnick, the company, put her on its payroll within 2 years to focus on Ivanka Trump's clothing brand, sometimes even posing for some of the products. She was conscripted into the Trump campaign when the real estate developer announced in mid-2015. Mr. Trump sat her down and said, "This is your new job," her mother, Kay Cavender Hicks, told the New York Times last year. It was a shocker. At one point she tried to leave the campaign, but Trump reportedly convinced her to stay. She followed her boss into the White House. Hicks took over the communications role on an interim basis after Scaramucci, a hedge fund manager with little media experience, was fired after 11 days on the job. The gig became official in September, making her the third person to hold the title since Trump took office in January. Roifi said Hicks might not necessarily be forthcoming with information, but can't see her fibbing for the sake of the Trumps. "I'd be surprised if she's actively lying, because she's then exposing herself," she said. "One can be loyal, but would you be loyal up until the point of jeopardizing your own well-being?"